What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live as always from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. In here with my co-host, my guy, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. What's good, Spread Astaire? How are you today?
Oh man, I'm excited to break down the NBA Conference Finals with you. We're down to 4 teams. Things couldn't be better for me. Beautiful weather out here in California. Happy to be here today.
Great. Me, it's a busy morning, man. I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning on the tennis. Did pretty good, man. I had a couple upsets that came through for me, but really upset about Mukova. I had a plus 174, man. Not only straight, but also to wrap up a parlay that was really good. But it's okay. You can't win them all. But really positive things coming out of Rome, man. A lot of rain, but a lot of good tennis.
Yeah, that's for sure. I've been watching too. My 2 cats played each other, Ostapenko and Dasha.
You know that was Big Pinko all day.
That was my. I was telling Noops that was my Super Bowl yesterday. That was the biggest.
Right. Ostapenko's looking really good, man. She like she losing a little weight, man. Like she's getting a little bit back serious about it. I guess
she's on that Shaq regimen. I'll just play myself into shape, right?
Yeah. And I also think that the French Open's coming up, and she knows that that's her type of tournament that she actually has action this year winning. Because think about it, beyond Swiatek, I mean, it's Ostapenko has as good a chance as anybody, So
yeah, I think so too. All right, well, let's dive into some NBA and let us bring in our guest. It's our guy Noops. What's up,
my sweet brother Noopsy?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, gentlemen. The 76ers will have a new coach. I'm very excited. Glenn Rivers, he did get a chance to be on the plane, I guess, back to Philadelphia, but this morning he's gone. He's been dismissed. I don't know what the Sixers are going to do. There's a lot going on because it's not just Glenn Rivers, right? I mean, they need a new coach. James Harden is a free agent. There's been a lot of whispers that he's thinking of going to Houston. I've heard from some people that part of the reason they dismissed Glenn Rivers is because James Harden was definitely going to leave if he came back as coach. So just a lot floating up in the air. And I guess I'll ask you, 5-star. You got a lot of connections in Houston. Do you think James Harden ends up there?
Well, the way what I'm hearing from the local guys, the local sports radio and everything, it's pretty much a done deal is what they're saying. But now this morning, I actually heard that the Phoenix wants to get in the mix and that KD's recruiting Harden to come over there, which is, I don't understand it. But I mean, I guess he would be a great facilitator now that Chris Paul is gone or going to retire, maybe to set Booker up in KD. So I could see it, but oh man, it's just like you guys are going to be just bosom buddies around the whole NBA, So I don't know if he gets Kyrie over there or Harden, but I'm from Houston. I am hearing that it was pretty much a done deal, but new information has came about with Phoenix, firing Monty Williams and KD now kidnapping their franchise like he's done a couple other ones. So we'll see if he gets his way again and gets another one of his buddies, and it's going to still end up with the same results, man.
Yeah, I keep hearing the Phoenix stuff, and I was just looking at it. I guess Phoenix's cap clears. They basically just have Booker here. I guess Durant is on some sort of something or other. I've been trying to figure out the math for how he gets there, but Daryl Morey, still a general manager of the Sixers. We'll see what he does, but I'm just happy to have a new coach.
Yeah, I know you were on the dock stuff before a lot of people, man. And the thing about it is this: I thought that he would, save his job with this series, but man, he did not, and save his legacy. Do you know he's lost 10 straight elimination games? That's unheard of, and that's unacceptable.
It is, and you go back and watch the game. It's the same problems. At some point, you got to try something new. I mean, the last 5-6 minutes, you've heard much made of the fact that Embiid doesn't touch the ball. How do you, as the coach, not call a timeout at some point, either challenge Embiid to get the ball or draw something up for him? I mean, there's this narrative around what the Sixers do, and you watch in the second half, the fourth quarter, all these games, the offense becomes this horribly stagnant thing. It takes them all 8 seconds to get across half court, if they can even do it, which they screwed up at one point. And now we're down to 7-8 seconds left on the clock, and Harden's got the ball, and he's going through the switches, and they haven't created any new matchups. It's all the defenders the Celtics want, and somebody's just going to chuck it up. So I'm just happy to see something new. I mean, in a way, that Game 7 was nice because it wasn't close. Basically, by the time we got to halftime, we knew that thing was pretty much done. So at least I didn't have to sweat it and, be in pain for a close game. So it's a big offseason for the Sixers. They got to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, we already kind of knew that's where it was headed. Remember, Spread, we talked about that. If the Sixers didn't get it done in Game 6 that they would get beat by
And
20 in
we
game
believed
7.
in them too. And I feel like that was where they lost the series. They had the opportunity beating them in Boston. I just did not see that happen. Really disappointed for that team. I was rooting for you guys, Noops, right? It's going back
Me too, man.
to my Iverson fandom days, but give the Boston Celtics credit. They were a better team. And this NBA offseason stuff is wild. Although I know you don't like the idea. I think Harden as a third option in Phoenix would be crazy. He'd just get 12 assists per game. I mean,
they'd be monsters in the regular season, you know that. But what about when the postseason starts?
Well, it really just depends on who they put around him. I mean, if they get
who's going to replace Aiden?
Does that matter?
Anyone?
Yeah.
I if I was them, I'd be begging the Knicks to come up off of their big guy.
There's no way the Knicks
would do it.
Thibodeau's
I think
the Knicks
will
would.
Mitchell.
No way.
Mitchell Robinson for Aiden right now.
There's
you got
no
a big
way
name.
The Knicks would do that.
You got a
No
big
way
name
the
at
Knicks
center.
would do that.
I don't know if they're that smart as you guys are giving them credit. You guys are pretty smart, so you're saying it from an intelligent point of view. We don't know. New York likes to sell tickets, man. Aiden will be a lot of noise.
I think if Tom Thibodeau got married this weekend, Mitchell Robinson would be his best man. I don't think he's getting rid of him.
Yeah, he's smart. Yeah, he plays hard. He's a good defensive guy. That's exactly the type of guy that Phoenix needs. They need a guy who's going to play D, doesn't need the ball, and just going to dunk on rolls. Maybe Capella. Capella's position is playing out a little bit in Atlanta, especially if Harden goes over there. Him and Harden are very used to playing with each other from their days in Houston. They have a really good record, in the past together. Maybe Capella's the guy that they.
I think that's a realistic one too, because I wouldn't be surprised to see Atlanta just start building around a Kongwu. That's what I would be doing.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's the right timeline move.
Yeah, they are.
Right. The Harden Phoenix doesn't make a ton of sense. I mean, you're just taking up Booker usage, right? Like at this point, if you're Phoenix, it's all about give me Booker, give me Durant, and let me try to fill in the roster because that was their big problem. They only had 5 guys they could really play. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But it was a big fun weekend of basketball. I mean, the Celtics advance. They go up against the Heat. And what do you think of that series spread? I know that you're not as confident in Miami as maybe some other people, but the Celtics are big favorites anyway. So.
But it's at the point where, you got to question yourself, right? Well, obviously, I don't have a good handle on this team. I think it's going to be a fantastic series. But I really wonder if Boston's going to just be too much for them. They should win. My only concern with this Boston team is that they do not do well when they're, they get up 2-1, right? They're going to lay a dud, right? They get up 1-0. I won't be surprised to see them lose game 2 at home. Consistency has been an issue for this team, but on paper, the Celtics should win. What do you think, Noops?
It does seem like the Celtics are the much better team, but as you start to break down elements of the series, I mean, in a way, the most valuable piece that either team has is Eric Spoelstra. We've seen Joe Mazzulla is not someone who can really make adjustments. Yes, he went back to starting Robert Williams, but you can't feel confident in his ability to control that team. So you've got Spoelstra, and then it's who's going to be the best player every night? Is it going to be Butler or is it going to be Tatum? And I think that's really what drives a lot of the series. If what we saw in the fourth quarter of Game 6 and all of Game 7 is what Tatum is now locked in and going to do, and again, I don't expect him to have 40, 50 points a game, but the smoothness was way he was moving. Looking at the defender and making immediate decisions on some of those shots was almost more impressive than the way he was making them look so easy. So I think that Boston does win the series, but there's going to be this first game is going to be really tough. We know how bad teams do coming off Game 7 in that first game. I think there's something like 1-19 or the last 20 or something goofy like that. But Boston is the better team. But if Miami can steal one here, basically hold serve at home, somehow get this to 3-1 going back to Game 5 in Boston, things get real weird. So I get why the Celtics are such big favorites, but I think that as you start to think about the series and the way playoff basketball goes, Miami has some real advantages.
Yeah. 5-Star, did you want to give your breakdown of this series now, or did you want to save it for when you give out the future?
We could do it in the future, but I would just briefly say that Miami's going to have a huge advantage on the bench. Like, we know this. Like, Mazzulla was not even the first choice. I did a little digging after we spoke about Will Harden. He was the second guy on the bench to Ime Udoka. I'm telling you, Mazzulla called Udoka, and he's the one that told him, what the hell are you doing? Play Robert Williams. Because think about it. That was Udoka's lineup.
That 5-Star. I heard that Brad Stevens told him to do that.
I'm telling you, he either
Whoever told you it was a
upstairs.
great idea.
Whoever
Yeah.
told him, whoever, because I wouldn't be surprised if Brad Stevens and the Doka still texting or cool. It's just, what happened was an unfortunate situation, but it wasn't his wife, so he don't care, So I'm sure they still talk basketball, So I guarantee you there was a little bit of Udoka or for sure Brad Stevens' influence on him. But in game, he's gonna have some problems, man. It's no way that the Heat are gonna allow Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown to get off. They have the perfect uh, combo of wing defense and also the way that Bolster sets up their defense going from zone and switching and kind of has an amoeba defense. He's always switching their defenses up. I don't think he lets those guys get off. They're going to have to make some really difficult shots, and we know that they do, but can they consistently out the whole way through?
We also have a game tonight. Let's start with you, Noops. My hatred of the Lakers is probably blinding me. I've jumped in on some player props. My brain and my numbers say the Nuggets are going to win this series. My PTSD says they're not going to get any calls. It's going to be. I thought they got jobbed in the bubble on officiating, and I'm worried it's going to be that same way. Do you have any hope for me? Is there a chance that Nikola Jokic will be in the NBA Finals, or is it going to be the same old purple and gold nightmare for us Sacramento citizens?
Exactly. As 5-star says, you're the only Sacramento Kings fan in the world, and that's what you got feeling in your head. The Nuggets are the better team. They've got the best player in the series here in Nikola Jokic, but this is a really fascinating series. The coaching advantage to me is pretty even. Malone does a great job. Ham has been doing some really nice stuff. Denver has more depth, especially from a scoring perspective. Now, it looks like Jamal Murray is sick. He might play. He might not. Might be less than 100%. I assume that he'll be fine as the series kind of progresses here. But between Jokic, Murray, Porter Jr., what Gordon has been able to do on some of the fast break stuff, and even what they've got for some of these bench guys, the Nuggets just have more scoring here. So I think tonight Denver comes out. It should be a pretty comfortable win here. They're going to be at home here. A couple interesting matchup kind of tidbits here. The Lakers were the number one team in the NBA this year in terms of scoring at the rim or in terms of offensive efficiency at the rim, and the Nuggets were the second worst defense in terms of being at the rim. But on the opposite side, the Nuggets don't turn the ball over and they don't foul anybody. And this Lakers team was built on fast break points and transition off turnovers and getting the line a bunch. Now, who knows what's going to happen here from the officiating perspective, but no Scott Foster tonight, so everything should kind of be on the up and up. I think the Nuggets come out here, put up a big number, and then it really comes down to game two. Can LeBron and AD really lock in and steal that game? Because in those first couple series, they've kind of caught these teams a little bit off guard. The Lakers come in, they're in a little better form there in that first series against Memphis. Memphis is dealing with all that transition nonsense, from Morant and all that crap. Take that first game. Same thing, Warriors coming off game 7. Lakers have a nice, easy game 1 there, but not tonight. The Nuggets are rested. They're at home. They're ready. So I think Denver puts up a big number tonight. I'm looking at their team total over, and I expect them to win the series. No series bets for me. All these numbers look about right, but I like the Nuggets to win this series, and I still have the Nuggets as my team to win the title.
Love it. I love to hear that. 5-star. I know you got a ticket saying the opposite. Is it time to hedge, or do you believe the Lakers are going to move on?
Oh no, I'm definitely hedging, but I'm really upset about the fact that in October, who did I say was coming out the West before the Lakers spread? The Nuggets, remember?
Yeah,
I
I
was saying
know.
the Nuggets the whole beginning of the season up until All-Star break, and then I jumped on the Lakers because I kind of saw the movement coming. I was really expecting them to get Kyrie, but it ended up working better. They got more pieces. So I got that ticket more as a value pick, but all that talking about the Nuggets, I forgot to grab a ticket on them. So I would be in a great position if back when I was speaking on them, I think they were probably like plus 500 or something to win the West back then, and I didn't take them unfortunately. So now I got to just try to get back my investment that I put on the Lakers, which shouldn't be hard to do because they have it at a pretty short number for the series, which is telling you that the books think that the Lakers match up really well with them. I'm completely opposite of Noops on this first game. The Lakers have a pattern right now that they've been implementing. I think they're going to continue with tonight. They try to jump on teams in the first game and give their all in that very game 1 and get ahead of them and make them play catch up. That's how Ham's been handling all of these series, the same aspect, the same approach. I saw that Jokic made a comment. He said that he's never played this Lakers team. That's major. He's that's telling you something right there. He said he's never played this Lakers team that he's playing. He's like they never faced the redone Lakers. the redone Lakers are going to give him a lot more issues. It's going to be a drastic change going from DeAndre Ayton with that butter defense to now you run into this wall with the Lakers defense. So I think that they're going to have to adjust, and it doesn't help that Murray is going to, is sick or whatever and making some complaints. Like, why are you even telling the media that if you're not already looking for an excuse, man? If you got a cold or a flu, you're going to play. So why is it even out there? So I'm taking the Lakers tonight with the points, man. The Lakers have been really good in game ones, all throughout the playoffs. As you know, they won in Golden State the first game, they won in Memphis the first game, and I think that they can go in Denver tonight and still win, especially if Murray's not 100%.
I think it's key for the Lakers to get one of these two games here in Denver and get out early. I know the Warriors did that to the Kings where, they lost the first two and then they were able to come back. Against this Nuggets team, I don't think you're able to pull that off. So interesting spot here for the Nuggets where I do feel the pressure is on them to win these first two. Yep, they're at home though, right? So, that's the pressure that they wanted to have. Did you have any other ways you're going to approach tonight's game, Noops?
I want to see kind of how the pace goes early. I've been trying to, in general, the postseason, we see a lot slower games. The pace finally starts to get down into that 95 range, something like that. But I don't expect that from this series. I want to see how it goes. I'll probably be looking for spots, maybe live overs, or I'll wait till game two and take some overs depending on how it goes. But if the Lakers come out, they're really pushing the ball early, and same thing with the Nuggets here. Because, again, as we talked about, the Lakers love to push the ball. They need those transition points and those easy buckets to succeed. And the Nuggets know what they've got in terms of a home court advantage, not only with the altitude, but the ability that crowd has to really shut some of these guys down, and knowing how fragile AD can be, knowing, that we've got LeBron in an older part of their career. So I expect to see a pretty fast pace tonight. So, again, I'm going to look at first quarter, first half overs probably for game two. And, again, if we start this game tonight, we've got, 10, 12 possessions right here in the first couple minutes, and maybe the shots aren't falling. I'll try to see if I can sneak in early with a live over. But I think it's going to be kind of an over series. I'm curious to see how it adapts, because I agree with what you said, Andre. The Lakers present a much different defensive challenge again, but what are they going to do? Are they going to actually ask Anthony Davis to finally guard a center? He generally doesn't do that. He really doesn't guard Jokic. So then we're going to put Vanderbilt on Jokic, which, that's not going to work. But maybe the idea is just let Jokic kind of do his thing. Ask him to score 50, 60 points a game and shut down the rest of that team. We've seen that be a good strategy against some of these stars. So I'm going to be kind of waiting and seeing how that goes. I think that really both teams are going to struggle to defend one another, and the pace is going to be high. So I'll see how it goes for the first game, but it's definitely an over series for me.
Yeah, I think Vanderbilt gets the matchup, and he tries to, keep him off the block. We know he can go right over Vanderbilt from 15. So I think what they're going to do is probably have help come with AD, and then let LeBron kind of play the safety role like he was doing against Golden State, where he's kind of in and out and kind of diagnosing what they're trying to do. And I think if they do that, they'll be able to catch him at the elbow, because you got to take away the elbow from Jokic and try to push him out as far as you can, because we all know from 18 foot in, I don't care how he shoots it, man. He can shoot it two-handed, a hook, left hand, right hand, it's going in. You can count it. His touch is just too soft. So they're going to have to push him, outside of that 15-foot area and not let him, camp out in the lane. And I think that they're the one team that can do that. But we'll see tonight for sure. And I'm like you, I do agree the pace will be more up-tempo.
Yeah, it should be a fun one tonight. We'll see if the Lakers can get it done. I think the Lakers can absorb a loss tonight a lot easier than the Nuggets can. So
absolutely,
yeah. What do you say in your threads, Noops? It's an almost must win.
Almost must win, if you will.
Right, because
must win.
Right, because technically it's not the must win, right? They're not on the verge of elimination, but I'll go ahead and hey, use that when you throw that thread out.
Must win tonight.
It's an almost must win here for the Denver Nuggets. So I'll be excited to see how they come out. And like Five Star mentioned, they've never played these teams. These teams have not played each other. So when we're using, right, if you're trying to go back and watch some of those cool little recaps they put on NBA League Pass where you can watch the early regular season games, you're not really getting much. So it'll be a lot of fun tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot of priors. I was going back and looking, and there's a lot of games between the Lakers and the Nuggets, especially in high-profile games. Anthony Davis generally plays against Jokic a lot, but this Lakers team is completely different. You look at the matchups they played this year. So if you are handicapping this series, just you can skip that part. You don't have to go back and see what happened in those 4 games. All of them were before February. All of them involved a different Lakers team. So try to focus more on what's kind of happened in the last couple months as opposed to the whole season.
Definitely.
And how are you? Is kind of an interesting thing when we're doing the modeling, because I hate to do that, but it's almost like you throw out any Lakers numbers on that old team.
I don't really even run a model for the playoffs for the most part. I mean, I'll run it quickly to kind of look at my number, but it's so hard to adjust for the pace, so your totals are always going to be a little bit wacky. And then in terms of the spreads, maybe for a game or two, your number looks pretty solid. But once you get deeper into the series, especially with teams with better coaches, the matchup changes, and you're trying to handicap something with data that it doesn't really do a whole lot. So a lot of my postseason handicap is looking at, what was the closing number of the last game? How did they adjust it to get here? What did I kind of figure out in that last game? What did I see in the box score? What are the possible adjustments? It is one of my favorite parts about playoff handicapping. Yes, it's good to have numbers and you have to look at data, but it's a much softer handicap. It's much more about, understanding basketball, watching that game and seeing how teams react night to night.
That's one of my least favorite parts. I like February, right? Wake up, throw a bunch of numbers in the spreadsheet, spit out the winners, relax, and enjoy the games.
You had the cheat code. The cheat code doesn't work in the postseason.
I agree with you, though. The projections go from being like 70% of my handicap to like 10% of my handicap. I still run them every day. Like, I feel like it gives me, I don't know, a nice little base to stand on. And maybe I'm just in the habit.
And see, this is the main reason why I feel like you guys and also Ski are really, really good at the NBA, because the NBA is like this. If you got a system down and you can do your algorithms the correct way, the way that they play during the regular season is almost robotic. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can pretty much put in your numbers and you're going to be right close to what you think, usually every night. Football, completely opposite. You know that. You guys know that from doing the models with football. Like, it's completely
waste of time.
Yeah, it's a waste of time in football doing that stuff, because in football, it's a whole different, you're digging into different things, like how people's approaches are, their mindset. Don't get me wrong, you're into that in basketball too, but each game doesn't matter in the regular season. Whereas in football, every game matters. So you're getting a different type of, emotional type of situation from the players. Whereas in the NBA, they're just going to work, nightly like robots, and and it's a lot easier to cap, I think.
Yeah,
and football too, you got a much smaller sample size, but exactly, and it's kind of the playoffs too, right? Much smaller sample size. So yeah, unfortunately, Spread, you're gonna have to stay up a little bit late. I know you're an old guy, but you live on the West Coast, so you've got a 3-hour heads up. If I can stay up till 1 a.m, you can stay up till 10 at night.
Oh, I wouldn't want to
I've
be
been
on
doing
the East
that
Coast.
lately. I've been working the swing shift there. So a lot of times I'm actually watching the games on tape, and it's an interesting part of my handicap. I almost feel like it makes me better when I'm not sweating the game. I know whether or not I won or lost. I feel like I'm actually getting more information because I already know what happened. So I'm like not getting mad when like, oh, I'm going to lose this bet. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Right. I'm like more concentrated on just trying to do it. But, you talked about adjustments, and I think that's the biggest thing between the regular season and the postseason. During the regular season, these guys get off a plane. They get maybe like a 2 or 3 bullet point scouting report, right? Hey, send this guy left. Hey, we're going to double this guy, right? I mean, and then in the playoffs, I mean, they're going down to like minute details. That's my biggest argument for shortening the season is to bring strategy into the regular season. Like,
you need more break between games.
Where the teams don't.
You need
practice.
more breaks. You need shorter time, and that's why I'm good at football. Really good at football, because I can kind of anticipate the strategy. You can't do that in regular season in the NBA, man. They just get out there. It's free run.
Yeah. So that's what makes the playoffs so fun. And whenever I advocate for a short system, of course we want less injuries. But for me, let's introduce some strategy into the regular season, right? Let's see what these. Like
50 games.
50
games will fix it. 50 games, Spread. 50 games. Let's go to 50 games. Start after had a first game. What do you guys think? Christmas,
you can even have it in October.
Whatever.
Martin Luther King Day or Christmas first game.
I don't care when you start it. Start it whenever you want. But I think, again, like we're talking about, you got to go to a schedule where there's no back-to-backs. You'll have at least 1 day off in between every game, if not 2. And then do a long mid-season break. I mean, I think you kind of steal the continental European soccer model, where it's, we've got a game every 2 to 3 days for a few months. Then you've got like a month and a half off, then a game every 2 to 3 days, and then things kind of wrap up. Now, the postseason is a little different, but I think there is a way you can find to stretch things out. Like, why does the season need to be Halloween to June? Who cares? I don't
Who
care. I
cares?
mean,
Only
the
yeah, you
NFL is
only.
always going to be there at certain times of year, but stretch it out, find different ways to work it out. There's got to be a creative solution for this.
That's
All
why I
right.
do better in the playoffs, man, because people really care. I can't deal with the regular season because I don't have a model for the NBA like that, like you guys do.
Well, that's why we appreciate you coming on. Not only do we give out the winning picks, but we fix the NBA. Adam Silver, listen up. We got all the answers for you here.
And go back to the East and West game, please. No more Team LeBrons.
Oh, that's
Team
the worst.
Giannis.
Yeah.
I kind of like the draft.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
After the draft, you might as well turn it off. The draft was so good, and the rest of the game was so
I
bad.
hate it.
Well, that is fun to bet on. I've got LeBron's first pick right the last 3 years. He just takes the center.
You just bet the over on the All-Star game.
Bet the draft. There you go.
You can over 300.
Do you got any picks for the people, Noops, before we...
Again, just that Nuggets team total over. I'm looking at, I think, 110, 111. No, I'm sorry, 114.5 is the number that I have in front of me. Again, I did run my numbers spread. I came up with closer to 116, 117, but a lot of unknown there. Just expect the Nuggets to come out, play fast, the Lakers to be happy to kind of run with them for a little bit, and Denver's been great at home. So give me a Denver Nuggets team total over. That'll be my pick for tonight.
All right, fantastic.
Before you leave, I guess you already said it. Who's your dream pick to replace Doc Rivers as the Sixers head coach?
Well, my dream pick would be Eric Spoelstra, but I don't think we're going to trade 2 first-round picks for him. So give me Monty Williams. He's been in the building before. He's familiar with Joel Embiid and those guys. He actually left the Sixers organization to go take that job and was a really impressive assistant head coach. And I was mad they let him walk out of the building the first time. So I think that's a very good place to start. But, let's see where it goes. There's going to be a couple other names out there. Nick Nurse would be fine. But give me Monty Williams.
I like Monty Williams a lot. Yeah, I like that a lot. And he's a Sixer. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That has KD's handprints all over it, man.
No, I heard it's not KD. I heard it's a Sheba.
The owner does not like Monty Williams.
Not click.
Oh, so when they met each other, they didn't vibe.
And Ashiba's not like Steve Ballmer, where he's just like, "Hey, here's some money, go play." Like he played under Izzo. Like he wants to run.
Well,
he has opinions.
He's about to make Isaiah Thomas the GM and fire Jones. That's going to be the biggest mistake he ever made in his life. And I wouldn't be surprised if he hired Steve Nash as the coach. Watch, remember I told you that.
If we go Isaiah Thomas, Steve Nash, I'm taking out loans.
Watch.
I'm getting all the money I can. We're betting all the Phoenix Suns unders, all the no's for them to do everything. I can't believe Isaiah Thomas is even allowed to interview for a job in the NBA, let alone have one.
He's with him everywhere he goes. He's at every game.
So weird. So weird.
Billionaires are weird. Billionaires are weird. That's probably why we're not.
It's just nice to be not the worst PC NBA team anymore. So thank you, Phoenix, for taking over Philadelphia here. I'm very excited.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
See you, boys. Best of luck.
All right. Let's dive in. You got a future for the people. Let's put it on the board.
Yeah, we're going to approach this in this fashion. I like the Heat. I think they can stay with the Celtics. They could take it 7 games. Okay, I think that the Heat can win in 6 actually. So to hedge our bet, we're going to do this. We're going to put take the plus 2.5, so we have a little cushion, and we're going to use that same amount that we would win, and also place it on the Heat to win the series at 4-1 odds. So we're taking the Heat plus 2.5 games at minus 135. And then we're going to take the Heat just to win the series outright for plus 400. I think that Eric Spoelstra just runs circles around Missoula, man. I really do. I don't think that he would have lost this last series if it wasn't for Doc completely collapsing in the 4th quarter. Like, you're playing Milton on Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum has 3 points through 3 quarters, and he just go put a 6'4" guard on a 6'10" shooting guard and lets him go off for 16 points. Tatum saves his legacy and saves the Celtics season, and then comes back and breaks the record that had just been, accomplished, and scores 51 points in the Game 7. He breaks Steph's record for 50. It's just amazing how these guys score points now, and they don't really none of the new guys buy into the fact that in the old days they wouldn't have been able to do that stuff. Like we watched it, so we know it's the facts, but they really think like No, it doesn't matter. We have skills. No, you don't. You don't have skills. You have an open floor. You have no hand checking. You have a lot of space to work with now that those guys did not have, especially in the playoffs. And also the things that now you guys go shoot free throws for, or a player gets kicked out of the game for, did not exist. The hard foul was a great play. If somebody, right, if somebody goes to the goal to try to dunk on you, and you give them a forearm shiver to the face, they'll be like, "Oh, great foul." Even announcers used to say it. So it's a different ball game. But as I said, I think that Tatum and the Celtics are just a little bit overrated, man. I just don't think that they're consistent enough to beat Miami soundly. They may win a series. They may, they're the more talented team, but they have a lot of deficiencies. And I think that Eric Spoelstra finds those deficiencies. And I think that him and the Godfather, Pat Riley, are in the lab as we speak, breaking down all the ways they're going to stop that Celtics offense. So give me the Heat plus 400 for the series, plus 2.5 minus 135 that they can win 2 games.
All right, give them a bet for tonight though. Ball and parlay time. What do you got for us?
I'm on the Lakers, man. I said it earlier. I like how the Lakers approach game ones. They haven't lost a game one this whole playoffs. I think that they aim to steal home court advantage early, make the team that's favorite to play from behind and play catch up. They don't want to give them any confidence, and I think that's all coming from their head coach. I think Darvingham is like a really smart dude, a really sharp guy, and he shows you that he's a little bit of a coach, a little bit of a strategist, a little bit of psychologist, because we've never seen AD look like he's looked these last couple weeks, right? We never seen anybody talk LeBron into getting off the ball, but he's done it. And we've never seen anybody get Westbrook to come off the bench. He's done it, So I think that tonight he has those guys prepared, and they come and they hit Nuggets right in their mouth. And I think that they cover the 6, and I think they win straight up. But for sure, we're going to take the +6 with the Lakers in game one. They're a hot team. And when they want to play, they've showed the ability to clamp down people and play really good defense. Also, I'm going to take the Orioles tonight on the money line. They gave up 9 runs last night to the Angels. The Orioles are one of the better teams in the American League. Ohtani didn't pitch well. They hit him really good, but their pitching sucked. And I know how that ball club approaches pitching. So I think that the Orioles come back and have a really good game on the mound tonight, and they score some runs on a very leaky Angels pitching staff. So we're going with the Baltimore Orioles money line tonight at home against the Angels, and we're taking the old man and AD +6 on the road against Jokic and a sick Jamal Murray.
All right, I'm going with the new fan favorite in Los Angeles. I don't think anybody's got a better nightlife than this guy, right? I mean, can you imagine what it's like when he goes around town? And I'm, of course, talking about Austin Reeves, right? Yeah. He's taking over. Caruso was their old one.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Caruso probably sitting over there like this. Hey, Caruso probably.
He's doing all right. I mean, he's pretty popular.
I like Caruso better than him.
I do too. I think so too.
Yeah.
Chicago's a nice place to live too when you're popular. But let's go to Austin Reeves tonight. I'm going over 3.5 assists. We've seen him kind of become the third option on this team. Him and LeBron in the pick and roll has been fantastic. And of course, that's going to give him opportunity for assists as he's become a primary playmaker for this team. He's gone over tonight's assist total in 23 of his last 30 games. And during those 30 games, averaging 5.2 assists per game. So give me Austin Reeves over 3.5. That way I can cash it, get my money early, go buy my steak, and then root for the Nuggets.
Hey, I wait for your cap to get pressed up, man. The number one Lakers hater in the universe.
Yeah,
man.
If they all win, you're gonna have to bring on Ski and just let them dance on my grave if they win.
Oh man. Hey guys, we appreciate you tuning in to the Wager World, man.
Games every day. So
okay, perfect. So we'll be back tomorrow.
Until a team gets eliminated, we'll be here Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, guys. Best of luck to you all tonight. We'll talk to you tomorrow.